I'll be purchasing the Mavericks t-shirt, playoff t-shirt tomorrow. I'm ready to go. That got me going. I'm fired up and ready to go.
Well, I think I can understand why this next gentleman right here has demanded time. He probably heard how ridiculous you sound yelling and said, I got to get in there and correct this right now. Because joining us right now is a man who I didn't know, Billy. I just found out this is going to happen, okay? Last second. You know, this guy hit me up and has demanded this time, and I'm going to give it to him. And he's going to get it right now. And joining us right now is a gentleman who I am very happy is joining us right now. You hear him, and let me say this. Billy loves his question asking on the postgame show when we do that postgame show. I mean, he asks the best questions, right?
Yeah, he does. By far. You have the best questions on that postgame, in that postgame presser.
If you listen to our postgame show, you hear this man. When we play those postgame interviews, Kevin Gray's joining us right now, man. How you doing tonight, man?
What up, fellas? I heard that this show is what's best for business, so I figured if I was to get my business together, I had to join what's best for business. So what's going on, fellas?
How are you doing, Kevin?
By the way, I don't know how I'm going to follow what you just did, EA. Like, I have no idea how in the world I'm going to follow any of that. Because
don't worry.
As I was listening, I was like, all right, cool. Like, let's get it then. Let's go ahead and get it then.
Telling you, that Dark Knight music, when you put into anything, you win.
Unfortunately, we had to listen to that all Cowboys season. So that won't be that's just, you just got a sample of what we go through during Cowboys season. Kevin Gray,
the mood down, didn't you?
Kevin Gray, we are discussing the Mavericks and Clippers right now. And of course, I know you got a little ties with the Mavericks. You know, you kind of got some work that you do over there after games, you know, doing a great job over there.
I appreciate it.
Chat me up about what you see getting ready to happen here with these Mavericks and Clippers as they get ready to take on each other this Saturday.
Well, you couldn't ask for a better script, right? After what happened last year in the bubble, you have an opportunity now to avenge or get revenge, whatever word you want to use, against a Clippers team that, honestly, I think has gotten better since the last time this team faced them in the playoffs. You know, they got a new coach in Ty Lue. You think that playoff P could potentially show up if that's what you want to call him if you're a Clippers fan. And then Kawhi Leonard is a two-time Finals MVP, two-time NBA champion who's got something to prove after what happened and the debacle that they had against the Nuggets last year. So I think for the Mavericks, the confidence of this team has grown. They've been better in clutch time this year. They beat the Clippers 2 out of 3 times this year. If you want to throw out the 51-point loss, I can understand that if you throw that out as an aberration. But this team and the Mavericks don't fear the Clippers. And for them, I think this is the perfect opportunity for them, for Kristaps Porzingis to get any kind of personal redemption he feels like he needs to get after getting tossed in game 1 and then having to miss the final 3 games due to a torn meniscus. And then for Luka, his coming out party was in this series a year ago. What can he do to build on another playoff opportunity? And what better way to do it than against a team that you probably, if you were fully healthy, could have beaten given how difficult things were for the Clippers a season ago.
Kevin, looking at right now, what did you think the biggest advantage the Mavericks have going into the series? Who's their X factor per se? Is it coaching? Is it Tim Hardaway? Who do you think is the key for the Mavericks to try to get this upset series win?
Health is the biggest X factor for me because you have Jalen Brunson, you have Dwight Powell, you have the addition of Willie Cauley-Stein. So you've added to the depth of this team, which you didn't have a season ago, obviously with Brunson missing with the shoulder injury, Dwight Powell missing with the torn Achilles. And more importantly, when you look at the off days in this series, you can fully turn Kristaps Porzingis loose. There's no reason to have to sit him in any kind of back-to-back situations. Right. You can turn him loose and let him go full go. But I think the biggest X factor for me, and I think you guys kind of alluded to it, is Tim Hardaway Jr. because, I think it was an 8-game stretch. He went for like 27, was shooting 50% from the field, 50% from the three-point line. And you going out there with a blowtorch every night, just, beating teams from the three-point line. So if he can be that true third scorer and not be streaky the way that he's been at times this season, you got to remember this is a guy who's had a franchise record with 10 3-pointers against Miami, or tied a franchise record, I should say. He's made the second most 3-pointers in a season this year in a 72-game season for the Mavericks. So he's going to have to be an important factor for them to give Luka Doncic and Porzingis the balance that they need scoring-wise to try to combat what the Clippers do.
Kevin, I have a big idea here about the Mavericks and the Clippers, and I brought it up about Luka Doncic. I think that we all know that he's a tremendous scorer. He can assist the ball. He does a lot of good things for your team. But I think this series for him, more than anything, is mental. We know what the Clippers are going to do to him. We know they're going to try to rough him up. We know that they have an idea that this guy has an issue with the referees. They're going to get under him to try to force the narrative, or to they're going to push that narrative of him being a not mentally weak player, but a guy who can get flustered.
Sure.
What can Luka do in this series, or what do you think he needs to do in this series, man, to solidify or to assure Mavs fans and to assure his teammates that he won't lose his focus in the series when it comes to that type of thing?
You know, it's funny as you were describing that, and this is not to that extreme, but you saw some of it last year. It kind of reminded me how the Detroit Pistons got after Jordan when it came to the Jordan rules. Now, not to that extent where they were beating him up the way that, you know, the Pistons and the bad boys were beating up Jordan, but the mental games, the mind games, the physicality that the Clippers were deploying against Luka last year, it reminded me a lot of what the Pistons were doing against Jordan in his early years when he was trying to get past them.
Right.
So I think for me, the biggest thing I want to see from Luka is don't react to any of it, whether it's guys getting in your face, guys, you know, playing extra physical. We know that he almost got the 16 technicals this year and got himself almost suspended for a game. But if he can stay within himself and be the emotional competitor that he is within himself and channel all of that energy into, you know, in his mind, trying to destroy the Clippers, I think you'll see a focused player given what he already is as a player, but channeling all of that energy into really being the kind of player that is not just the facilitator and the creator for everybody else, but taking those moments and channeling that into really beating the Clippers the way that he's capable of. But no, I love the question, because that's one thing I think for a lot of us they want to see from him is the maturity, especially in these playoffs, given that you got a second crack at a team that really at times was able to get into his head mentally and really physically by the way that they played him.
We're joined with, of course, Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan. Of course, you can catch him on YouTube. What is that? Kevin Gray Sports, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Now, we got to talk about KP. Are we going to get bubble KP? Are we going to get sloppy KP? Are we going to get injured KP? Which KP are we getting?
Bubble KP didn't last a whole
It's
long
okay.
time.
Leave
I don't know if you want to go bubble KP.
Leave him alone. Let Kevin into it.
Well,
Stay in the
folks
fact.
forget that Porzingis was second team all bubble, you know, last year. So it wasn't like, you know, he went down there and it was a slouch, you know, in the bubble. And I think, you know, you think back to game 3 when he went for 34
Hey, Kevin,
and
real
13.
quick, how did that end for him, though?
I mean, it ended with a torn meniscus. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I mean. That's what happened. I mean, that happened in game 1, and I think part of that narrative, you know, with Porzingis is, you know, he's not the toughest player in the world or this, that, and the third. You know, one thing I've come to learn about covering him is that he hates missing games. You know, the way that they treat him with the kid gloves, the way that, you know, at times Casey Smith and this organization treats him in terms of his injury and his management and all the things that they do for him. He wants to be out there, and at times his body just doesn't allow him to, but I think at times he gets a bad rap for the amount of injuries that he's had and the kind of injuries that they are. But when you look at the torn ACL, the meniscus, you know, those are both contact injuries. So it's not like my dude's out here just, you know, getting shot by a BB gun and falling down and, you know, next thing you know, he's got a torn hamstring. Like, these are real legitimate, you know, injuries that he's, you know, suffering. So for me, it's about, can you get the guy that in game 3 went for 34 and 13? Because if Luka doesn't necessarily, you know, have his ankle stepped on or doesn't play, if he plays better in game 3, and we know what happened in game 4 in that series, we could have been talking about the Mavericks beating the Clippers in round 1 instead of them, you know, losing in 6 games. So I think he's that vital to what the Mavericks are trying to do. And by the numbers, and I know Walt loves his numbers, you know, this team with Porzingis and Doncic, they're the most efficient pick and roll duo in the NBA. Now, it may not look like that at times, but by the numbers, that's what they are. So this team offensively is going to hinge on what those two do together against the Clippers in this series.
I'm going to need
Hey,
you.
Kevin, I like dubs more than I like numbers, though. I need dubs.
I know. That's why I had to preface it by saying I know Walt loves his numbers. I know he's a huge analytics guy. I know that's his forte.
Dub.
I
You
know
know
what you do.
You know me. I can't let you in Dub City without you get it. You can get the special in Dub City with the numbers, but you can't get into Dub City without the dub.
That's why he hates Julio
Yeah.
Jones.
Yeah, Julio. Yeah, he can't. God. He don't get the special. He come to Dub City, but he don't get the special.
I need you to repeat that portion where you said that KP doesn't like missing games because our esteemed co-host, Mr. Tovash Hatcher, who I guess is not here again.
I know. Where's the Tovash
yeah,
show?
he's all
9 o'clock. I figured I'd be in for the Tovash show.
Yeah, he's a little later than usual, but you need to tell him when you see him that KP does actually like playing basketball because we sit here all season long and Tovash is like, that guy looks like he hates basketball to me. Huh? Oh, he's in the club with the owner. Oh, no. And you need to talk to him and have a little conversation with this Mr. Hatcher over there.
So, well, you guys know cover him. Porzingis gets down with his business a little differently than everybody else, and it is what it is.
Wow. Well, hey, listen, let me tell you something, Kevin. This must be poetry in motion or something right here because you asked for it, and just as you finished making that comment, get ready because what's about to hit the studio right now. Because joining us right now is at Tovash10 on Twitter. Get over there and follow that account. They talk God, sports, and porn over there. And they be a little controversial at times. We got him here. Maybe you can repeat that for him because Kevin was just explaining about how the guy who you don't like, Mr. KP, Mr. Kristaps Porzingis, he hates missing games, and you seem to believe that that's not the case here, right?
First of all, how we doing, guys?
We're doing good.
Coach.
Hey, what's
What
going
up,
on?
Vosh?
What's going on, Kev? How you doing?
I'm good, man. Hey, before you say anything, I want to tell you thank you because I know you stay on the fan text. You stay on the fan text, and I appreciate you supporting the show, man. I really do. I appreciate that, man.
Anytime. That's how I earn my name and pestering you guys on the radio. So what did I miss? So
you just missed the education that he dropped about Kristaps Porzingis. He does actually like he hates missing games. He does like playing basketball.
So he really hates wearing polo shirts on the sideline. That's where we gathered.
Low key, them polo shirts be kind of fly.
They are. Man,
Thank you, sir. I have a whole crop of them. Thank you, Kevin. I love them.
Not gonna lie.
So Kev, real quick. I want to get a professional opinion from you.
Shots fired at us.
So no, basically, I see a lot of your rants on Twitter, and if I disagree, I will go back with you, especially on this one, and it's because of what we've seen from this guy over his career in the last 3 years, and then when it comes to the healing process, for just some reason he heals like a diabetic with a cut on his foot. And I'm all of a sudden just like, wow, does this guy not want to play basketball? This is a shortened season, 72 games. And so I look around the league and I see guys that, break bones, get injured. And he's just, he hasn't even gotten to year 27 in his life. And so when I look at guys like LaMelo Ball, who pretty much he was ruled out for the season. And then all of a sudden now he's back.
Yeah, but he broke a hand
with his
he
wrist.
Cut back from a wrist and a hand.
Right, that's fine. That's fine. But I think that you utilize all the time you have in preserving a guy like Luka. He's your number one. So pretty much just feel free to check me on it. But I think that we want to preserve Luka as long as we can, EA, as long as we can, as long as we can, Billy. So I need to get that dude help before he wants to get out of here.
Well, Kevin, before you answer that, I have come up with a plan to preserve Luka. I have made mention of this, that back in 2000.
Is that a Lakers shirt you got on?
Yeah,
okay.
All
right.
Some things happen.
I'm looking at Billy with his Mavericks shirt on, juxtaposed by what you got on over there. I'm like, am I on the right show? Like, what's happening here?
Walt is apparently he's like a polo aficionado now. He has to have every.
I thought he was an advocate, not necessarily a fan of teams. I thought he was just.
Oh no, I'm an advocate. I have just a little small piece of a stake of the Lakers over there, just a little small piece.
Okay.
A guy who wears a certain number over there. I got a little piece of steak over there. Okay. But no, I have. He's right. I own a lot of polos.
Talking about Forrest Whitaker.
Not Jeannie Buss.
No. That's Kyle Kuzma girl.
Did he say Forrest Whitaker?
I did.
So, man, I know you see that picture. They put the picture
up. That's why I laughed when he said it. I was like, oh, wow.
Y'all ought to be ashamed of yourself. But I was saying, before I was so rudely interrupted here, that I have envisioned a plan that for Luka to maximize him, to get the most out of him, is that we create a situation where he plays off the ball a little bit more. And I brought up the comparison of Allen Iverson back in 2001 when they took the ball out of his hands, Magic happened. It was an MVP season for him, and they went to the finals that year. Do you feel that that's asking too much of Luka to take him off the ball?
No, not enough. I mean, because, this guy, number one in the league this year in usage rate, number one in the league in terms of time of possession. The ball is going to be in his hands constantly. But one of the things I've wanted to see continue to develop in his game is the ability to be an off-ball player. Now, it's hard to do that when you're the primary facilitator in this offense, but I think this game can go to the next level when you start seeing him do some of the things, now not to the level that he does it. But Stephen Curry is a tremendous off-ball player.
Yes.
The guy runs through screens and will run you ragged all night long. Now, Luka Doncic's body composition obviously is a little bit different, so he's not going to do those things necessarily, but I want to see some more of that, and that only can happen if you got another primary ball handler in the starting lineup with him.
Oh, okay. The reason why I say you can start doing it now is because he's working on his back to the basket and post game shot now. So now I feel like if he's honing that craft right now, if he's trying to work on that, let's try to make that move. But there's also, I'm glad you said that, because there's a point I want to make. Tobosh is a big fan of Jalen Brunson. Okay, we got a situation coming up with Jalen Brunson with the Mavericks to where they either pay him, or if they're not going to pay him, they need to trade him. Because if you pay him, you're going to pay him to start. And if you don't see that, there's no point in paying him to be here.
I mean,
because he's not going to come out the bench at this point, because everybody's made it known he's a starter in today's NBA.
Yeah, and what's crazy about those two is that when they're on the floor together, they're really good offensively together, Brunson and Doncic. But for me, I see Brunson more like, Derek Fisher type, a prototypical off-the-bench guard who can facilitate and score and do the kinds of things for a second unit, kind of like what Derek Fisher did at times in his career, especially, in his heyday with the Los Angeles Lakers. So I think they're going to pay him to keep. I don't see him being traded by this team at all. They're going to go ahead and keep him at some point because they look at that draft with him and Doncic as gold that they struck with the two of them. And the way that he's developed from a player development standpoint, yeah, I don't see him going anywhere anytime.
Okay, so with that being said, that means he's going to start. Are you okay with Jalen Brunson being in the starting lineup when you pay him?
I don't think he will be in the starting lineup, honestly.
I don't see a situation where he says you're gonna have to, if that's you got to pay him a lot of money to come off the bench. Do you really want to do that?
I mean, you're gonna have to, because here's the thing. Two guys are gonna get paid by this team, or one guy for sure I think is gonna get paid by the team if they decide to keep him. If Tim Hardaway Jr. stays with this team, he's gonna get paid.
I heard Miami wants him.
Which makes a lot of sense. He's from there, so that makes a lot of sense. But the other thing is, too, and folks tend to forget this, y'all need to get ready for one more year of Josh Richardson, because he's going to get that free $11.5 million for his player option coming into this upcoming season. That's his player option. So I don't see him, based on what has happened to him this offseason, going to the open market and getting the kind of dollars that he thinks he's looking for. He'll probably take that free $11.5 million and stick around for one more year in Dallas. So you have to figure he probably will be back in the starting lineup if things get better for him this offseason going into next year. So there's still a situation where I think Brunson still comes off the bench even if you keep him and pay him.
I think the only way that Brunson is a starter in his career is if he's not here, if he's not a Maverick,
right?
Or if he goes to the Eastern Conference.
Right, because Van Gundy and them have already been raving. He's a starter in today's NBA, and his agent is going to tell him, "Bruh, you can go somewhere and make more money and start."
He can make more money, I believe. But as I said, if you go to somebody like the Pacers, or some where they need a point guard, a floor general type, because Brunson is the traditional point guard, I think, and basically he's gritty, he's gutty. If he goes to where his dad is from, up there in Pennsylvania, then
homecoming in Philly or something.
They could utilize a guy like that. He wouldn't start up there because of Ben Simmons, but at the same time, he would play pretty much a similar role to what he's doing.
Boston
here
would be
in
a good
Dallas.
fit for him. He can go out there in Boston.
Yeah,
I don't see the Kemba.
He can help take Jason off the ball.
Right.
He's not going to do that to Luka because that's not Luka's game.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I want to
go ahead, Kevin. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, to that point, that's interesting because I think he's a starter in most teams in this league. It really depends on the situation that he lands in and about how successful he's going to be. But I think he'll look at his situation here in Dallas as a team that took a chance on him, developed him as a player, and he'll want to stick around and be with this team, whether it be – he doesn't strike me as a guy that's a selfish kind of player that will look at his situation and say, I got to get out of here to go make starter money and be a starter in this league, even though he could be somewhere else. I think he realizes that his situation in Dallas is going to be pretty good for the next at least, 3 to 4 years after Luka signs his his max extension and be around for a few more years. I think once you get past Luka's initial max extension, then you can reevaluate whether or not Brunson would want to continue to stick around or go somewhere else and be a starter, depending on kind of the success that they have.
We're joined here by Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan fame. You can hear him pretty much on the weekends, on the weekdays, holidays, Thanksgiving, Turkey days, all that.
You can also hear him on the postgame show when we put those interviews up. You hear him asking great questions.
Yeah.
Great questions. Billy loves his question asking.
I do too because I always trip on this. I'm like, why is his microphone level so great? And everybody else seems like they're talking on the
It's
elevator.
great now.
Yeah.
It's great now.
And I'm like,
It's funny. It's funny you say that because Scott Tomlin, the VP of communication, he came up to me and said that too. One game after the game, he was like, "Man, your mic sounds terrific." I'm like, "Yeah, that's on purpose, man. Like, I'm trying to if you're gonna hear me, I ain't trying to embarrass myself out here in these streets. So, got to have the mic levels where they need to be. So it's funny you say that because folks have told me that this season. So
I'm glad you brought that
try.
up. I'm glad you brought that
try.
up. Chat me up about being in the arena this year without fans and being in that whole scene. What's it like in there this year?
Initially, it was weird with no fans, especially at the beginning of the season, because you could hear everything. Squeaks on the floor, dudes screaming and cussing at each other. Like, it was weird. Like, you could hear literally everything, on the floor. But then as fans started to come in, 2, 3, and 4,000 fans as the season went on, it felt more like a real basketball game. Like, it's one thing when Sean Heath, the PA announcer, is shouting at empty seats versus when he's shouting at 3,000 or 4,000 folks in the building. It's just a different energy when fans are in there. But you could hear a pin drop when there was no fans.
Oh, you mean when he does the Luke? That sounds different in the arena.
It's weird when there's nobody to react to it and you just hear it because Sean's trying to do the best he can to keep the same kind of atmosphere for normalcy for the players on the floor. But you could tell it's just a weird situation when there's nobody there to actually, react to it. But then once fans got in, it was like, oh, this feels normal again. And Sean can shout at the top of his lungs at, fans now, and they'll actually react to him.
I went to a game this year as well, and I was sitting. I couldn't utilize my name this year, but I was sitting upper level.
That was hard for him, Kevin.
I was sitting upper level, and it felt like I was watching a theatric play, or watching a movie. It felt so intimate in the AAC, and I was like, well, I could do this more often, but at the same time, I'd prefer to have 21,000 rowdy people in there going nuts.
We're gonna have 12,000 for the playoffs. Is that what I'm gonna say, or is it more than that? Did we bump up a little bit?
Yeah, Cuban got on 105 through the fan today and said, it's gonna be about 12,000 folks in there. So it's gonna be loud inside the AAC. So
and you're gonna be there throughout the whole playoffs, right?
I sure will.
Before we let you go, what's your prediction for what's getting ready to happen with this series?
Man, I've gone back and forth with this because
you don't have to do that. You don't have to do that yelling crap EA just did a few minutes ago.
Yeah,
when he gave his prediction.
I won't be able to follow that at all. But that was epic. I look at this matchup and I keep looking at it from the Clippers' perspective. On one hand, and say a lot of the things that the Mavericks don't do well, the Clippers really do well. The Mavericks, defend the three-point shot okay. I think they were 13th in the league in defending the three-pointer this year. But you're talking about the Clippers are the number one three-point shooting team in all of the NBA at over 41%. They got 4 guys that take at least 4 threes a game, and all of them are shooting over 40% from three. That's kind of frightening. And then you think about what they do on the boards. You know, Ivica Zubac is a Mavericks killer. This guy is a tremendous offensive.
Oh, you mean my guy
rebounder.
Zubac Shakur? That's what I call
Yeah.
him, old Zubac Shakur. Somebody
Yeah.
in the room don't agree with the nickname, but it's old Zubac Shakur out there on the court.
Well, he's devastating when it comes to playing against the Mavericks, and he's
hating,
done
don't fix your
well
face.
There's
as an
nobody
offensive
there.
rebounder for them, you know, for a while now. So you look at the size and the length of the Clippers, you know, with Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, you know, they added DeMarcus Cousins. The elephant in the room nobody wants to talk about. Rajon Rondo is a part of this team also, providing some veteran leadership. We know what he did for your Lakers, you know, a season ago.
Hold on.
I mean, you got the shirt on. You got the
He
shirt on.
represented
So,
them pretty well.
you know,
We just had a
I'm
good
saying
night.
They're your Lakers at the moment.
We just
You
had a
got the
good
shirt on.
My guy just had a good game last night. You know, I don't wear jerseys. You know, what better way to show my guys some support than, you know, just to,
Yeah, what a better way to clinch the 7th seed than to wear a Lakers t-shirt.
you really
By
ought
the
to
way,
be-
a quick aside: the Lakers, this year's Lakers team, that has to be the greatest 7 seed of all time, right? Like it has to be the greatest 7 seed of all time.
Well, I don't know. Let Tobias tell. He been doing some strong hate. I don't know where this come from. I mean, I don't get it, but you know, I'm fearful the Lakers won't make the finals this year.
Really?
And that's just because I don't think Bron's 100%, and he needs to be at 100% for them to win. Like they struggle without Bron bad.
Oh,
Well, how pissed off are you have to be if you're the Suns after all you've been through as a franchise, and all of a sudden you get the number 2 seed in the West, and here comes LeBron and Anthony Davis get ready to walk into your building for a first-round playoff series. Like, come on, man. Like, Chris Paul's got to be thinking, damn it, like, I tried to get away from this cat, you know, a long time ago, and now here he comes, you know, get ready to play. But for the Mavericks and Clippers, I'm picking the Clippers in 6.
Wow.
Because I as much as I love Luka, as much as I think Kristaps Porzingis can have a dramatic effect on this series and how much more healthy this team has been, and they've been better in the clutch this year. They won 33 of their last 49 games to even get in this position. The Clippers do too many things well that the Mavericks don't. And as much as I want Tim Hardaway Jr. to be that dude in this series, much like the rest of his team this year, I don't know what I'm going to get from night to night. Am I going to get the team that lost 3 times to the Sacramento Kings in a matter of 2 weeks? Or am I going to get the team in the Mavericks who, you know, beat the Brooklyn Nets twice, who went to New York and held Julius Randle to 86 points in their own building? I don't know which team I'm going to get. Am I going to get the game that, you know, Luka and KP had when Luka had 46 and KP had 36 and they were destroying the Pelicans? I don't know. So with that kind of inconsistency, to me, the Clippers do more things better than the Mavericks do, and that's why I'm picking them in this series to beat them.
I kind of homered it up and took the Mavericks in 6. Sorry.
And you know what's crazy about it? I could see a scenario where the Mavericks do beat the Clippers in 6.
Mm-hmm.
I can see a scenario where they beat them in 7. But that's how wild the swings are with this team, given how inconsistent they've been at times this year. But I have to bank on the idea that the Clippers are just a more talented, more deep team with better leadership. And more importantly, they've got 2 of, I would argue, the top 15 to 20 players in the league in Kawhi Leonard and Paul George.
Well,
And I'll say this too, lastly. I think one of the underrated parts of this series, Tim Hardaway Jr., Dorian Finney-Smith, and the health of Maxey Kleber, whether or not he's going to be available. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are going to run Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dorian Finney-Smith ragged on the offensive end. I wonder how much they're going to have left offensively to be the kind of jump shooters that they need to be to give the Mavericks an opportunity to score the way that they need to.
I'm glad you said that because I said my X factor is not either one of those guys on the team. You know who my X factor is this series? Kick doors, Josh Richardson. And I'm explaining you why we call him kick doors. Billy here was looking at his shoe game one night. He had those black Air Force Ones on. So he said those are the kick door, those are the shoes you kick the doors in. So that's why we call them kick doors. So Josh Richardson's defense is going to be the X factor for me on the team because I feel like they're going to throw him at Kawhi, probably throw him at Paul George. We're going to need him on Paul George a little bit. So I'm really counting on his defense to go to the next level.
good luck with that because
I don't need him scoring. I just need him playing defense.
Well, you're gonna need him on the offensive end as
Yeah.
well. But see, and here's the thing: if you quote unquote throw him at Kawhi, Kawhi's just going to eat him.
Well,
like
he
a
will.
seal.
I mean, you're not going
He
to
gonna
keep him on.
manhandle him,
You're
yeah.
not going to keep him on there. I mean,
He's
you're
not
gonna
big
throw him-
enough.
Yeah, but mainly I want him on Paul George though. That's who I mainly want him on.
Okay,
Me
so
personally.
if
No,
he,
I was gonna say he gives up. I mean, Josh Richardson goes 6'5". Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are legit 6'7", 6'8",
Yeah.
both of them.
Yeah.
And they're bigger and stronger than Josh Richardson. So he's giving up size and length to both of them every time he goes down the floor. And I don't know how much he's going to be able to take for 4 to 7 games.
Maybe
punishing them.
maybe he's gonna be my guy that's gonna be foul trouble guy this series. I need to go in there and get some fouls. Yeah, do some. I need him to just get some fouls and just get in there, just kind of mess him up a little bit. That's it. That's all I need him to do. Nothing dirty. I'm just saying. I just need him to kind of throw Paul George off just a little bit. That's all I need him to do. Just get up in it.
And quiet as it's kept, the Mavericks defensively have been pretty good against Paul George, whether
Right,
it's heavily
right, right.
contested shots, lightly contested shots. Paul George has had his trouble at times, with the Mavericks. So maybe there's a silver lining there. But
I think that game when they blew him out by 50, I think Josh Richardson was on Paul George.
yeah, that game was awful from the Clippers.
Right, and
there
Kawhi
was
didn't play.
Yeah, Kawhi didn't play. I tend to throw that one out because everybody in the first couple weeks of the season was getting the doors blown off of them. Like, it was some really weird games that were happening, and that was one of them. So the other 2 games that they had in March and the home games that they had, I tend to look at those a little more closely. But I mean, you're right. Maybe Richardson can have some kind of effect, but yeah, they're going to need him to be the kind of defender that they brought him over from the Philadelphia 76ers.
one thing to look out for, Kevin, and I'll let you have it. You can have it.
I appreciate it.
Keep an eye out on how Ty Lue adjusts to the Maverick size. So one scary thing to me is I like the way Boogie fits with the Clippers and Zubac as well. Let's not forget that they have Nikolai Batum, who's pretty much versatile on both ends of the court.
You're not forgetting about much.
The Clippers go big. If the Clippers go big, and I'm letting you guys know at home too, if they go big on the offensive end, Dallas will have a problem. They'll have a problem for 6 or 7 games. I don't give a shit how long it lasts. But that will pretty much pose a problem because of the glass. I'm really, really concerned at that because the Mavericks don't rebound well.
Right.
I'm also concerned that Boogie may be the guy who Morris was last year. You know what I'm saying? And instead of Morris punking Luka, this guy could turn around and start punking Porzingis and send his little ass back to the bench, and of course, back to basketball abyss. And so that pretty much bothers me and worries me at the same time. But look out for Boogie, man, because I like that. Look out for Boogie, man. Look out for Boogie because he does pose a problem.
It's funny he's kind of missing it because I'm thinking about it from the other way. If the Clippers go small, let's say you put Marcus Morris or Serge Ibaka at center, now you're exposing Porzingis and having to draw him away from the basket.
I'm telling you.
That's what I'm saying. Like the depth and the versatility of what the Clippers present, they present a lot of problems whether they decide to go small or they go a little bit bigger. That the Mavericks are going to have to try and adjust to. That's why when I looked at the match, I was like, damn it, this is not a good matchup when you look at it from a different amounts of angles for what they can do. I mean, there's ways that the Mavericks can beat this team.
Yeah.
But when you look at it from top to bottom, the Clippers' versatility in a lot of different areas is going to give them, some issues. So whether they go big or if they decide to go small and draw Porzingis away from the basket, exposing him and keeping him on the perimeter defensively, they can do a lot of different things, against the Mavericks in this series.
This series is bigger than just Luka, KP, Kawhi, and Paul George, in my opinion.
Well, let Billy tell it. Those guys don't bother him. They don't mean anything to him. A Boogie.
Well, I want to hear what's your prediction this year? Because I'm interested, in what you have.
Yeah, he said. I just said I forgot Batum was on there. He's like, you didn't forget much. Don't worry about him.
I mean,
Boogie's not a problem now, sir.
No, I like Boogie.
What about
Boogie
Ibaka? We forgot about Ibaka.
Man, that was like 2-3 years ago, man. Like we got to stop holding on to what it was, man. We got to stop holding on to what it was, man. Life progresses, man. I'm concerned about Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Yes, the Clippers on paper, absolutely. They're a lot stronger than the Mavericks. And probably to your point on the floor, they have guys who are bigger, more physically imposing. I get all that. But like I told you from the beginning, I think the Mavericks' biggest advantage, forget the players, is Rick Carlisle. I think Rick Carlisle is a better coach than Ty Lue. I think Rick Carlisle will be able not completely mitigate, but I think he'll be able to minimize the damage that the Clippers are able to do to the Mavericks in certain spots because of his ability to adjust. We know about in the playoffs, man, it's a 7-game series. You got to win 4 games, right? So you're going to adjust from game to game. Some things are going to work. Some things you're going to get trashed on. It's your job as a coach to find a way to keep your guys motivated and to put them in position to win. And I just think that Rick Carlisle is more equipped to do that and has proven his ability to do that as opposed to Ty Lue, who has his whole coaching career just kind of had arguably one of the greatest players ever touch a basketball. And, really just, I'm not going to say ride the sidelines. He's done some things, but I think Rick is a more proven commodity. Though Rick hasn't won as much as Ty Lue
lately. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
lately.
a good point.
But I mean, Ty Lue has clearly had the advantage when it comes to personnel over Rick Carlisle as well. So
Yeah, and I agree because Carlisle, for a lot of the things that folks criticize him for, when it comes to offensive basketball, Carlisle has been one of the foremost in terms of offensive basketball for a long time in this league. And for Ty Lue, I think what he brings to the Clippers is not necessarily, as you mentioned, kind of the X's and O's. He is kind of the, if you will, the Joe Torre or the honestly, I guess a guy in his own conference, the Steve Kerr of his team, because he gives a different voice. Like, he earned and commanded LeBron James' respect immediately when he was at the Cavaliers. Like, you all know, he told LeBron James to shut up in a huddle one time. Yeah. Like, you don't just do that to, arguably the best player in the world at the time. So I think what he provides is a calming voice and a guy that can get the command and respect of his players with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. And they listen to him. And plus, when you got Rajon Rondo in the background, doing what he does, there's an added element of leadership there. But I think you're right. From an X's and O's standpoint, I would take Carlisle over Ty Lue, maybe as a person, as a communicator, as a motivator. I would probably lean more toward Ty Lue just because of his ability to do that. But yeah, Carlisle's adjustments in this series, I think, is going to be an underrated part of this also, just because he can do those things, I think, on a little bit better level than Ty Lue for sure.
So we just asked a question before we let you go. If the Mavericks got, what would we say, swept or dusted?
Oh yeah, the Mavericks. If the Mavericks lost this series, let's just say they got swept, and it wasn't really a competitive series. Okay, no injuries involved. It's just not a competitive series. The Clippers just look hands down, just 2-3 times better than us. Is that the fatal wound that ends the Rick Carlisle run here in Dallas?
No, I don't think so, because I think Cuban and Nelson will look at what Carlisle had to overcome and deal with this season and say there's not many coaches in the league that could have overcome a 9-14 start and at one point lost 6 games in a row and 10 out of 13 and still be the 5th seed in the Western Conference. While you would like to have been more competitive in that series, theoretically you're not supposed to win this series anyway. This is about getting through this season relatively healthy, which they were able to do for the most part, aside from about with several players getting COVID and Porzingis, of course, doing what Tovash loves for him to do, is that's sit on the sidelines. But that's just what the nature of what this team is. So beyond this year is what this team, I think, is looking to ensure. Now, if they get to this point next year and they get the brakes beat off of them again in a first round series, now, okay, we need to have a conversation about potential regression for this team, because you can't exit the first round 3 years in a row with Luka Doncic, arguably one of the 5 best players in the world, who's going to be a first-team All-NBA performer, I think, again this year, and say that you're progressing toward a championship level, because you're not if you're still earning 5th, 6th, and 7th seeds and losing in the first round of the playoffs. Like, you just can't. That can't happen.
I think Tim McMahon said it the best the other day when he was on with Sean and RJ, when he said Rick Carlisle will be the head coach of this team as long as Luka Doncic allows him to be.
Facts. I completely agree with that. And Tim obviously is as deep as anybody when it comes to, knowing these kinds of things in the league. And you all know this too. This is a players' league, man.
Yep.
When LeBron James had David Blatt's career was over when LeBron told him, hey, no, I'm going to be the one getting the ball on this play, and I'm going to take the shot against Chicago. When that happened and he hit the shot, David Blatt's career in Cleveland was
Yeah, we
over.
scrapped that. We wasn't with that
At
play.
that
We went on
point.
scrap that. We wasn't with that play. Yeah, we didn't know what he was talking about. We went on ahead and took over that. So, yeah, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, if Luka Doncic walks in and tells Mark Cuban, hey, I can't play for this guy anymore, guess who's going to be on the way out the door? It's going to be Rick Carlisle out the door, unfortunately.
That is very true. Kevin Gray, thank you for joining. Listen, man, I want to tell you something before I let you go. And this ain't quality broadcaster talking. This is Walt Chisholm speaking directly to Kevin Gray. I want to thank you for all the stuff you do media-wise. In a industry where guys that look like me and you don't get the opportunity, you are making the best of the situation and killing it with what you're doing right now. And I can't thank you enough because you are showing them, this industry, that 30-year-old white males are not the only ones that know about sports. We do too. And I appreciate you for that, man.
Man, that means a lot coming from you, man, because I know the grind that you on and that you stay on and the success that you have, man. So that means a lot coming from you. And I support everything that you guys are doing. I love what you guys are doing. I know Billy was on. He's on constantly with Big Game James. Love what he's doing over there too, man. Dope stuff. And Tobash, you and EA supporting the show. But that means a lot, man. I really appreciate that. And I do it for folks like who look like us, who out here trying to do what we do, man, because you told me this. It ain't easy out there. And you're 100% correct. It ain't easy. But, we having a lot of fun and doing what we can to make the best of it for sure.
Hey, man, you're welcome back anytime, man. If you got anything you want to promote, you right now is the chance. But if you ever want to come back on, you got to see anytime you want to. All you got to do is, like you did tonight, just hit me up and say, I need to come on here and address some stuff. The floor is yours, brother.
Well, look, I got kind of jealous. I saw Choppy on there. I saw Bassick on there. I was like, yo.
Wait, listen.
I need to pull up and say what's up because I feel like I haven't had a chance to say what's up.
Well, listen, let me tell you something about Bassick, okay? Bassick loves our post-game show.
Yeah.
The time, listen, we don't even know, nobody, that's never scheduled or planned when Mike Bassick comes on. Mike Bassick will watch the post-game show and say, hey, I want to be on, and he hits the button, and we put him on. This is not a, we called Mike and said, hey, Mike, can you come on? Mike Bassick loves our post-game show so much. He has stayed up till the end. It's been times we've been on till midnight.
Past midnight.
Mike Bassick will still be in there commenting and watching it.
That's dope because, Mike loved his Mavericks.
Yes.
So anything he can get his hands on, see, talk about Mavericks, he about it. So that's dope. But I was like, yeah, I got to get on here, man. I can't let Chop and Bassick be out here representing the fan without me coming on here every now and then and saying what's up.
And we're gonna, like I told you, we were gonna ask you to come on the post game show during the playoffs anyway. So you beat us to the punch.
Look, man, I love y'all show. I love the entertainment that y'all have, and y'all do a tremendous job. Y'all are relief for me from the grind of doing this because I watch y'all and have y'all the fun that y'all have. I love it. Yeah, and plus y'all had Carolina Teague on here too.
We did.
I was like, if Carolina gonna be on here, I need to get on here too, man, because I love me some Carolina.
Well, I
Teague.
tell you what,
she's fantastic.
I
too.
tell you what, yeah, I guess I'll break this news now. In August, I'm gonna be going up to San Antonio to be on her show. And not only am I gonna do that, not only am I doing that, but I'm probably gonna bring DeMar DeRozan back to Dallas with me for the Dallas Mavericks. That's what I'm gonna do. So I'm going to work up there real quick. I'm going to be on the sports dime, and I'm mainly going to bring DeMar DeRozan back to Dallas to be our 2 guard here in Dallas when I make that trip in August.
You make sure you clear that with Billy and Tobash. Make sure they're good with it before you bring 33 or 32, 33-year-old DeMar DeRozan back here on a max contract or something.
Yeah, because I ain't letting him.
Clear that.
Yeah.
Because I ain't letting him come here.
Listen, me and Q's, we good. He'll be okay with it. I'm gonna go down there. I'll get the deal done. I'll bring it back. Everything will be fine.
Actually, bump Billy and Tobash. Clear that with Mavrello. Whatever that little creepy thing is. Clear it with him before he go ahead and sign it, folks, man.
Hey,
Go ahead.
I was gonna go another way while I got him real quick. I just saw some breaking news come across about 40 minutes ago. I don't know if it's breaking, but it's barking news. This morning, Ezekiel Elliott has been cited because his Rottweiler bit 2 people today.
Wait, what?
That's
He got a ticket for his Rottweiler biting somebody.
Are you serious?
so his dog bit 2 people, says police. They're now in quarantine, and they're going to be returned to him pretty soon. And let's see here, and that's of course that's in the pause step of the wake of the 2020 incident when one of those dogs bit the pool girl.
I thought that was Dak. I thought that was Dak who had the.
And then Dak's dogs bit somebody else. So I think we need to
Put
get
a
a leash
muzzle on those damn
get a
dogs.
leash.
Who reported that? I need to find that. Who reported that?
This is as of NBC DFW.
Oh God, they're on top of it.
No, don't
Okay.
don't do that. No, she got a pit bull in here right now.
He know about the pit bull. He been in the studio. He know about the pit
Yeah,
bull.
you know about the pit bull in the corner, right, Kevin? This big monster pit bull. It looks like the damn dog from
Y'all
Ghostbusters.
really got a dog
man.
in there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for protection. It goes down here. In case it go down, we got it. We got the basset hound ready to go.
Yeah, it's not a basset hound at all.
I was about to say, yeah, a basset hound. That's what y'all got in there.
No.
Oh,
He's a
I see it
pit.
right here. Oh,
He's
I
a
see it
pit
right
bull.
now.
He's a pit bull.
Oh, okay.
Looks like
Okay.
it looks like the damn bear from the movie it was the Revenant.
Yeah, he huge.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm seeing this right now. Yeah, cited by Frisco police after his dog bit 2 people.
Frisco always giving somebody a ticket.
They ain't got nothing to do with it except look at ass all the time.
Kevin, great. Thank you again, man. Anytime, you're welcome back.
Hey, appreciate it, fellas, man. Y'all keep doing your thing, man. I appreciate it, man.
Have a good night.
Sir.
Oh, man.